Hi Pisces, this is Joy with Joy to the World, and I'm here to do a reading for you. Make sure you hit the like, share, subscribe button if you find these helpful or even entertaining. You're welcome to tune in and stop by and just have a good time here. So anyways, let's jump on in and see what's going on. I went ahead and pulled out an animal oracle and one set of tarot just to get a directive for where we're going on this, and then I have two more tarot that I plan on bringing in to reveal a little bit more of the layer. So let's tune in and take a look, okay? So it makes sense with the fish that y'all are turning things around. Here we start out with the whale card, and it says live as a fully conscious being. And what I really pick up on this one is the vastness of your connection, the breadth and the depth, and to bring it to your conscious awareness of how profound it actually is. To be aware that one thing I know is there's a part of you that exists underneath the surface that to you seems more like your mental body, like private soul talk that no one else hears, but the universe is clearly indicating here that it does. And where it's saying be a fully conscious being, they're really talking about bringing yourself together. And in Pisces, that's bringing yourself together like this. Which also, where Chiron is for the next 7.5, 8 years, the movement is coming for each sign in the zodiac to bring our mind together like this, to become whole-brained, no longer left brain, right brain, the masculine, the feminine, the yin, the yang. It's being in the wholeness there, so that we have access to all parts of ourselves at all times. So underneath that, I'll split those. This deck is called Terra Spirit, and this is the Mother of Water. So she appears here as a keyhole, and again, it's kind of an inverse action going on. It's like y'all have been living from the outside in, and because in the flame, the center part of the flame is blue, and then right around it is the white before it goes into the golden light. And in here, that inverse is served as like a shroud, a protective shroud for the self, in order to hide away the less than savory parts of yourself. Now, these aren't parts that would necessarily bother anybody else in your inner circle or even your outer circle, but something in you seems to perceive that they would, or to fear that they would, to have an over-minded concern about what others would think or feel about you if they knew that. And it's like a kind of like a dichotomy going on, because here we have the Lotus Flower, okay, but her eyes are rolled up and cast up in like a put out type of way, like, oh, okay, I'm so tired of this. And so you're not in congruency with yourself, and therefore your self-speak can get off track really fast. I have a feeling you probably deal with migraines and headaches, some aches and some pains, especially across here. And you work really hard at being spiritually connected. I can see that clearly in this card. But that connection gets trapped in that watery outer layer of the self-protection that should actually be the inner layer. And therefore, you're disconnected from the divine at times when this phase comes on, when this inverted phase comes on. It's like the turning of the fish, you know? So that's down the center line. Beneath it, we have the Two of Water. Interesting, the sacred cord. In meditation, before while I was doing all the pre-shuffle and before these cards came out, y'all were indicating you wanted to talk about your relationship. So for this is more people who are in relationship, but also, I mean, it's very Piscean, so it'll deal with you either way. But I see a bit of a struggle with a give and take. It takes effort, and that it's been causing this kind of an unnecessary uprising, kind of making a mess in your life for no reason, right? It's one of those things that you feel the surge, you feel it coming up. It's kind of like a tsunami here, okay? So it's a crack way beneath the surface of the water down in the depths, in the belly of the ocean. And it creates this upwelling and this uprising, this rush of emotions and feelings in these relationships. As I'm seeing here that it's relationships across the board. But the ones that were requesting it were those who are talking about your personal mate. And then it causes a bit of a struggle. And it's seeming to keep playing out, and it's totally unnecessary. And it causes, like, the relationship can endure it. I don't see any lasting damage there, but I do see it like furthering this energy, okay, and damaging how you feel about yourself, because afterwards there's a deep remorse. There's a guilt, like a stain of guilt kind of going on that can't seem to wash away. And then out of it, you're not very loving, kind towards yourself about it. You're kind of miffed with yourself, and therefore if we respond to ourselves unkindly after things like that, it basically triggers another lesson to come sometime in the near future. And so it's like setting you up to have another opportunity to succeed. But at the same time, if one of these uprisings occurs again and it's over, when that remorse, when that refractory period comes, don't just feel bad about what happened. Think about where it's really coming from. Get clear in your mind and be as kind to yourself and asking yourself for forgiveness as you are when you go to this person and ask for their forgiveness. And be soft with yourself about it, okay? It's like you have two standards. One standard that you have for yourself, which can be, I would say, harsh in the sense that it's like a false perfection. It's as if life doesn't live or move or breathe or have its being. It's as if you're inanimate, but you are living and breathing. And so perfection has a different state than it does with, say, decorating, something that's stayed and static, okay? Because you're dynamic. And so getting into some intimacy and some reflection with yourself about what is perfect to you. And in this sense, it's more like delving into the feelings, which should be second nature for you guys. Delving into the feelings of what makes me feel really good. What are the activities that really bring out the best of me? When I'm having this deep fracture, this crack type feeling, what can I go do to diffuse that energy to really help play it out on nature so that it doesn't get played out on a person? It might be cycling. It might be power walking. It might be cooking up a storm of cupcakes. It's like taking that time to convert that energy to change the inverse, in a sense, to revert to the state that you were before the rupture occurred. Okay. So, beneath that, okay. Y'all are so smart. I really don't look ahead. I don't look ahead. I don't look into them until we're here, sitting here together, so that we can share this moment. And that I don't overwork it. That I don't turn steak into hamburger or eggplant into mush. But beneath that we have Father Fire. Okay, I kind of see an eye of intensity here. And this, you're telling me, is like your mind, your body, and your soul. So this, I perceive, is where the crack, the fracture, the rupture is occurring, that is causing this uprising of energy to create that dynamic of struggle and disempowerment in your relationships. Because being that you're fish in there too, you can often play that out on the person around you, as opposed to knowing how to work that out with your second self. Okay, so here we have Father Fire, and he is armed and ready, and he's fully leaning in for the charge. It's like a joust. Jousting seems like it would be entertaining unless you're the other person opposing, on the opposing side, should I say. And when they go to lower that staff, I would get a little nervous. And here it's off target. So just to let you know that whatever's disturbing you is, in a sense, we could say a lie. It's more like it's misguided. I see. So you see that he's hunkered down on the horse here, all right? It's like preparing for battle. He's preparing, he's hiding behind his horse because the two people are coming at each other with that spear. And he's trying to hide behind his horse, right? But he also wants to reach out to be able to get his opponent before his opponent gets him. But it's as if you set your aim at the beginning of the match when you're upright, because you can see this is like a bullseye here. And you can see he's off course as he's hunkered down. So it's like you haven't reset your aim. It's as if you lose sight of what your real enemy is, what your real opponent is. And it's this dark matter, this dark force, and not that darkness is good or bad. It's not actually a problem. But it's that, it's the unseen. And I'm hearing that it unnerves you, okay? Because you take that you already live in this watery state, and in the two fish that can invert and revert. That's a lot of action. That's a lot of change. And then you add darkness to it. I mean, fish are kind of skittish because it's eat or be eaten. And then now the darkness falls. I would feel like that. If I were you, it would really press in upon me. And our soul is where that, like the imperceptible can occur. And it would seem nerve-wracking for sure. So just to let you know, you're aiming at the wrong enemy. It's not yourself. It's not the other person. It really is just the primal darkness, okay? And it goes back to, this sounds like Capricorns. So where you don't want people to see certain facets of yourself because you're predetermining how you think they would perceive you and like or dislike those certain qualities that you might just have a little milligram of hot-headed temper or something like that, but in your mind you perceive that they're going to see it as this ginormous orb of anger, and that perspective is off. That enemy is off. That insight is off. So here we step into, this is the card that came out to the right, and this one's special to this deck of Terra Spirit. And it is the mystery card. It is the unknown, and it can come out either way. It chose to come out this way, in the top down. And it's almost, I see it like you're up on a diving board. It's like when you get in your mind, go into your higher perspective and take that clear look. Move through the layers of your body. It's going down in your soul to just acknowledge that the unknown, the unseen unnerves you. It unnerves you because you don't exactly know what your soul will look like, because you do have intense feelings. And what seems really big, and that's why you kind of like invert it and hide it, you invert your flame. which is causing you to get burned. But if you were to, I just say revert, because how do we outvert that? So anyway, so if you were to revert it and have it where the blue, the hottest part is in the center of the flame and then the white around it, the world is not going to get burned. The world will be illumined. It's only if you invert it that you get burned. And that's the passion of your soul wanting to be unleashed. It's not your enemy. It is not some crazy, wild, unmanageable force. Now, it actually is. It's raw and it's primal. And it's like in the state of plasma. And it's full of passion. But it feels more intense than it will appear to those around you when it surfaces. They're going to be warmed by your light. They're going to be wooed by your light. They're going to be enchanted, actually, by your light. And then when you begin to see that response on their face, that's where some of this practicing of this outverting, the inverting, whatever, you know what I'm saying, the inside out type of living, that it will register with you quickly. Scorpio is having it where their growth curve is going to happen quite quickly. It's as if this inverted living that you've been practicing is going to be the grace that plays to your advantage with Chiron being in the first house now. If you simply become aware of where the rupture is coming from, it's coming from your soul, and it's not coming from that person or from you. So it's not about straightening out relationships, virtues, morals, principles, that type of thing. It's simply readjusting your mindset that this mystery, this thing has you kind of unnerved of what is it going to look like, because it feels really intense. You don't know what it'll look like when it's going to come out. What are people going to think? And the only way to find out is when it comes out, and so that's scary. And so you try and have it come out by yourself through meditation, through peace practices, through breathing exercises, through more kind of like subtle body things, but yet it's not coming up. It's been down there for a while, and it's ready to be seen. That's very clear. But I would like to tell you here that you do have that diving board perspective. But that again scares you. It's if you're afraid of heights or the unknown, and you go up on that diving board, you're looking down, going, "Oh my God, I can't jump off the high dive. I want to, I can't. I want to, I can't. I want to, I can't." So that passion is driving you there. It's saying, "Let's go. Let's go. I want to go have fun. I want to cut loose. I want to do the fun things that I see other people doing." And it's like, "Oh no, it's not safe. It's not safe. What would people think if they saw me going so wild, being set so free?" And I'm saying they wouldn't think much, but woohoo. Hey, thanks for joining the party. We really like you. You're awesome. That's what I'm hearing. It's not just what I'm thinking and feeling, okay? So you're seeing others do it, and as we know, if any of you've had that high dive experience, you might even hang over the edge and go, "Nope," and just tick everybody off as you have to come back down that ladder, and they're waiting for their turn to go up because they know what is on the other end. They've already experienced it. You might even spend a whole summer doing it, and by the end of that summer, it's the last day, and you're pushing yourself to do it, and you do it. And they're like, "Oh my God, I love this. Wait, get out of the way. I want to go again. I want to go again." And before you know it, it's the very thing that you love, because your soul drove you there. Your passion drove you there, okay? And that's where I would say this deep, deep permeation of your profound spiritual connection is encouraging you. It is the massive whale. This is a mammal. It is a being whose heart beats like you, okay? And it's encouraging you to tap into this knowing, to trust your own soul, to let that move through you and to bring about life, not guilt and remorse, but celebration and appreciation within yourself, okay? To really be able to channel that energy. And what I love is it's bringing it down from the higher realms, okay? And look how much light is being emanated into the depths down below you. So we're just going to go ahead and do that. Let's illuminate your soul in this darkness and just blow away that fear so that you can feel at peace and be encouraged that the things that your soul wants are actually quite simple. And it's time to give yourself permission to start checking off some of that list. It's not even just like a bucket list. These are like little quiet things that you would think, well, why do I want to put that on the list? I don't want anybody to know that. Well, just start doing them. Start doing them. I remember a friend's mother that she was in her 40s when she got divorced. And very prim and proper and beautiful and lovely, quiet woman. And she decided that her life had just ruptured so much that she was going to dive in and face her fear. And her fear was of the water and swimming. Now, she made sure her kids could swim and that they had swim lessons. But she never had done that for herself. And here came this time, this stripping away in her life, which is kind of what's going on here. And she decided that she was going to conquer her fear. She was going to conquer this unknown, because there's a reason it kept lingering around her mind about swimming. And it wasn't to taunt her, it was to encourage her and to draw her in, to draw in to her passion and her power to say yes, and to allow your mind, body, and soul to find a way that suits you to be able to embrace it and to enact it, okay? So she began in her bathtub. Why? Because she knew she could reach all sides. She had a genuine fear of water itself. And so she just began by holding onto the sides and putting her face under, and then coming back up. And each time she came up, she realized she wasn't going to die, that she had power and control over this, and not over her fear, but over the water, which is something that is seemingly out of her control. And that's kind of what I see going on here. It's like the hidden undercurrent. It's like that, the nuance of the message. And she did that for a couple of months, and then she quickly had kind of like a giddiness of stepping out and taking a swimming lesson. And as an adult, she just decided, like her towel, she was going to cast any, connotations of sheer fear or shame to the side, like that towel, and she was going to step in because she had come too far and worked too hard to let a petty fear like that take her out. And then wouldn't you know that a few years later, she started dating a man who had a boat, and they were head over heels in love. And she was always comfortable being out on his houseboat, cruising all around the water, because she could swim. So it's a whole new world. That's the part about the mystery card, is it's taking you into the depths and the layers and this access point of a whole new world that life is wooing you into. But it can't even tell you that if the doorway, if the eye of it is terrifying to you. They don't want claw marks. They don't want you putting scratches on the wall or hurting yourself trying to get there. It's like the soul is directly connected to the heart. They want you getting on the same page with yourself. They want you doing it scared, but like willingly, like surrendering to yourself. That's why I say giving yourself permission, submitting to the passion of your soul and getting on the same page with yourself. Okay, and so from there we go to the one of fire, force. And this doesn't mean force like to make happen. It is like creative force. It is a source, an energy, a untapped potential. So you often hear people say, as above, so below. That's kind of like the 6-pointed star going on here. And in there is that cosmic egg. Okay, and we have kind of, we could say the light and the dark, but it's more the clarity and the confusion kind of coming together, and that's why it's creating this spark, this ignition, like flint stones when they're struck across one another. It's trying to get something going, and you have to do this opposing force in order to create that spark. So it's like you choosing to dive into what you are clear on, to get to a little bit of the chaos, a little bit of what scares you. And that's how she talked reason to herself. Remember, she said, well, I don't want to start in a swimming pool because they're going to take me away from the side. And her fear literally had a death grip on the water, right, and on her. So she started where she was fully in control. In her bathtub, she was in control of how many inches went in there. She was in control of whether she went face down or whether she submerged under. And she went through the different layers of working with herself, working with her soul, giving it permission to continue to penetrate the layers, to be able to transfer into this whole new world. Okay? So that's what's going on here. And it's like it's, because The confusion one, the one that's pointing upright, you see it, the more kind of shaded one, that is all this chaos going on around here. But it's not chaos like mayhem. It is just disorder. Just like to me, the Five of Fire, it is a card of order. It's not necessarily conflict or competition. It's being able to create the form of what you want. Well, that's, that's just a furthering of putting this chaos in order. You have the passion, you have the feeling, you have the drive, but you don't know exactly how to execute it. You don't know exactly what it's going to look like. You have parts where there's timidity and parts where there's confidence. And that's the clarity and the, we'll call it cloudiness then, confusion, coming together. But in there is that cosmic egg. And if you need to know more about the cosmic egg, you could go watch Aquarius from this week. They cracked that cosmic egg. I love their boldness too. It was fantastic. So anyways, let's get a couple of cards from, I really want to start over here. Even though y'all are kind of, how about we duel it out? How about that? All right. Between where I'm being led and where y'all being led. Okay. Okay, so under the mystery card, we have the Eight of Wands and the Star. And in this, it's jumping to action. That's really my hope when I do these, I could say videos, but really it's a moment together. I feel like we're really here together. That's the intention of my heart, because I believe wherever two agree, it happens. And so it's we have a deer and a pheasant going on here, and pheasant has to do with like your beauty being seen. It has to do with your regalness, your higher up position in the world. And here's this deer taking off, and I do not see like buckshot or anything to fear. Matter of fact, these flower petals are flying around almost like little kisses of love. It's like breaking through that passion, as if you popped out of a red balloon and you're like, okay, ciao, and you've launched yourself out to chase those dreams, the wild hares. I know it's not a wild hare. It's a wild deer, but we can straight up call it what we want right here, okay? And it's like it's leaving some of the shadow behind, and it's transferring into a world of color. It's being translated into your seeable world. That means you are taking physical action on it. It's not just an action of your mind nor of your feelings. And I like that for you. That's exciting. That's fantastic, because this is on the row of the body here. And beneath that, so down the soul level under this mystery card is the Star. That's why it's undeniable, okay? And that's why life is wooing you to jump on board, because you are otherworldly. You have access to realms, just like this card is showing us here, on a profound level. And they're just simply encouraging you to take a step towards life, and life has taken that step towards you. That really the not moving is adding to the power of the fear, okay? But here in the Star, it's really offering to yourself the same guidance, the same coming alongside that you do in supporting your friends and loving your friends. Do that for yourself as well. Be your own best friend here, okay? Be an encourager, because what I'm seeing is that here, even if others are encouraging you, you're smiling. You're doing the gracious pheasant, right over here, and you're smiling and you're taking it in. But meanwhile, inside, it's not landing anywhere in that lower realm. So that's what life is encouraging here, is to begin to let people be your cheerleader. Let life love you the way you love life, okay? And that is going to like warp speed your learning curve. Well, in Scorpio, it was a learning curve, but here it's like that physical curve. And this is the undergirding of what really causes that breaking forth, that wild hare, that wild deer, to really have permission to go forward. And you do not go forward alone. It's unique here that the spirit is represented represented as a pheasant. Okay? And now underneath this one of fire card, remember the clarity and the confusion. We have in the body, we have the moon chariot going on. And in this one, I like it that it's not like a wheelchair. It is, it's like a device of the heavens. It is a facilitator. It might even be, I see a child. The child is leading you. So it could be your inner child. It could be jumping in and having fun with your children or the neighbor's kids. Letting that playfulness come out, even in whatever age you are. It's that freedom to have fun like you never really did. It's like chasing down fireflies in a jar, making mud pies. And now some of these you did, but you kept it small in many ways is what I'm perceiving here. Because, I mean, they're floating up in the sky. The trees, it's like heaven and nature are singing because they've been supporting you, waiting for this moment for you to really get to that place in time where your childlike faith is leading you and leading you into action. It could also be classes that, like my friend's mom, there weren't other adults in the swim lesson. There were kids, right? So maybe you take drawing lessons. Maybe you're learning a new language. What else could make you feel like a child and not knowing how to speak? Or maybe it's roller skating or hula hooping or teaching yourself how to bake. It's really being able to step into those safe spaces that are all about you, okay? And then beneath that, down the soul level, ooh, we have the Ouroboros. I see this like a cracking of the earth. It's that pyramid. It is your ancient self that was contained. And your passion, your fire, being given permission to come forth, it's warming it and it's cracked the stone. And within that pyramid, within that mountain, are the wealth of the gemstones. And there's a handful of kinds in here. And the circle is the complete wisdom. It's something you have an affinity for. That's what you're going to stumble upon in this card. Something that you have an affinity for. Because for you, we could think about that as the infinity, but for you guys, it's a circle. Wow. Interesting. Well, that would make sense. That would make sense. The Piscean fish making the circle, enjoying each and every day, sunrise to sunset, good night's rest, and you start again. But it's something you have an affinity for. It's something that you'll see full circle and it'll carry you throughout life. It is, so your joy, your goal, this is, we want you to play and have fun and to set yourself free in that permission. But also this is like cultivation on this side of like that secret desire that you've always had, that maybe was something you desired as a child, like to learn the guitar and you never did. Give yourself permission to surface that now, but something that is really has a driving force behind it. It really has that thing to carry you through for all time. Okay? So with that, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to say thank you, and I wish you well, and I'm excited. Y'all, let me know how this goes. Let me know what you conquer. Let me know what you give yourself permission to do. I'm excited to see that my Pisceans are going to be living life and shining your light, and enjoying the celebration with the rest of us and letting us enjoy who you are inside, the wholeness of you, from your deep passion, your soul, all the way up through your mind. Bye for now.